This morning, as the first rays of sunlight began to filter through the curtains of my room, I found myself standing quietly in front of one of my aquariums, the one that has become my personal treasure in recent months. It is not the largest aquarium I own, nor is it the most complicated in terms of aquascaping or technical equipment, but it is, in many ways, the most meaningful to me. The tank is small, with dimensions of 40 centimeters in length, 30 centimeters in width, and 30 centimeters in height. By professional standards in the world of aquarists, it would be considered a modest setup, almost a beginner's size. But in that small rectangle of glass lies an entire world of beauty, peace, and delicate balance. The inhabitants of this world are a school of rummy-nosed tetras, those small, graceful fish with shimmering silver bodies and unmistakable red noses that glow like tiny rubies whenever they swim together in synchronized harmony. Behind them, forming a backdrop of life and color, grows a thicket of lush green hygrophila, or what many hobbyists affectionately call thuikuk. Their leaves sway gently in the current created by the filter, creating an ever-changing background that is alive and full of vibrancy. When I first set up this aquarium, I was unsure of what to expect. The tank's size meant I had to be careful with stocking, choosing species that would not only fit comfortably within its limits, but also thrive in a relatively compact environment. I knew I wanted something peaceful, something that would embody a sense of unity and order rather than chaos. That was when I decided on the rummy-nosed tetras. These fish are famous among aquarists for their tight schooling behavior. Unlike some species that scatter and swim individually, rummy noses almost always stick together, turning and gliding as one, like a living ribbon of silver and red weaving its way through the water. Watching them is mesmerizing. It's as if they have rehearsed their movements for weeks, always knowing when to turn left, when to dive slightly downward, when to rise toward the surface, and when to hover in place. Their unity creates an immediate sense of tranquility, the kind that draws your eyes and refuses to let them go. The red coloration on their noses is more than just beautiful. It's also a natural indicator of their well-being. A healthy, stress-free rummy-nosed tetra displays a bright, vivid red that seems almost to glow under the aquarium light. Whenever I look into the tank and see all of their noses shining brightly, I feel a rush of relief and satisfaction. It is proof that the water quality is good, that the environment I've created is suitable, and that the fish are content. In some way, their health reflects my care, and that bond between aquarist and fish is something only those who keep aquariums can fully understand. It's not just about having animals in glass boxes, it's about stewardship, about providing a safe haven where life can flourish. The backdrop of hygrophila plants plays an equally important role in shaping the character of this tank. I chose them because of their adaptability, their fast growth, and their lush, green appearance that never seems to lose vitality. In a small tank like mine, space is precious, and having plants that can thrive without constant intervention is a blessing. The hygrophila bushes have grown thick, their stems rising upward in graceful lines, with broad leaves spreading out to catch the light. Some leaves near the bottom of the stems are darker, shaded from direct light, while the upper leaves glow in a brighter, lighter green. This creates a sense of depth and layering that makes the tank appear larger than it actually is. Whenever the filter creates gentle waves across the water's surface, the whole curtain of green begins to sway, moving as if the plants themselves were breathing. It gives the tank a sense of rhythm, as though everything inside is alive and interconnected. Maintaining this aquarium has become part of my daily routine, and in many ways, it is a ritual that brings me peace. Every morning, before I start my day, I take a few minutes to check the fish, to see them schooling together, and to make sure their red noses are glowing brightly. I feed them small portions of high-quality flakes, and occasionally treat them to frozen or live foods like bloodworms or daphnia. Watching them eat is another small joy. They dart around quickly, but never chaotically. Even in feeding, their behavior retains a sense of unity. Once their bellies are full, they resume their calm, synchronized swimming, as though nothing had ever disturbed their tranquility. Sometimes I place the food near the outflow of the filter, so that it spreads gently through the water, encouraging the fish to chase after it in coordinated bursts of energy. Those moments remind me of the playful side of their nature, a contrast to their otherwise composed demeanor. The water itself is another source of fascination for me. Crystal clear, it acts like a window into a miniature world. magnifying the beauty of the fish and the plants. I spend time ensuring that it stays that way by conducting regular water changes, carefully siphoning out debris while making sure not to disturb the delicate roots of the hygrophila. In such a small tank, water parameters can shift quickly, so discipline and attention to detail are necessary. Yet, rather than feeling like a chore, these tasks have become meditative. When I dip the hose into the tank, when I pour in fresh water that has been treated and prepared, I feel like I am not just cleaning, but giving the aquarium a renewed breath of life. It is as though I am participating in a cycle that benefits both me and the creatures I care for. Lighting, too, plays a crucial role in the atmosphere of this tank. I use a modest LED fixture, not overly powerful, but bright enough to bring out the shimmering silver of the rummy-nosed tetras and the vibrant green of the hygrophila. In the mornings, the light blends with the natural sunlight filtering through the window, creating a warm, inviting glow. In the evenings, when the room grows dim, the aquarium becomes a luminous centerpiece, glowing softly like a lantern of life in the darkness. I often find myself sitting near it at night, simply watching the fish move together in silence. There is no need for words, no need for noise. Just the simple act of being present with this small ecosystem is enough to calm the mind after a long day. The glass walls of the aquarium are like the borders of a tiny universe, and within those borders, everything is perfectly balanced. The rummy-nosed tetras never seem to fight. They never show aggression toward one another. Instead, they coexist in harmony, as if they understand that their safety lies in togetherness. The hygrophila, for its part, seems to thrive on the waste produced by the fish. Using it as nourishment for its continual growth, the filter acts as the unseen guardian, ensuring that toxins are removed and that oxygen is supplied. Each component has its role, and each role is essential to the health of the whole. It is a lesson in balance, a reminder that every living thing, no matter how small, contributes to the greater system in which it exists. Sometimes, when I watch the fish, I think about how different their world is from mine, and yet how similar. They live within clear walls, limited in size, yet they never seem restless or dissatisfied. Their joy seems to come from the simple act of swimming together, of being with their kind. They don't need vast oceans or endless rivers to find peace. They find it in togetherness and routine, in a way that mirrors the life of humans too. We often seek more, believing happiness lies in something bigger, grander, or further away. But perhaps true peace can be found in the small things: family, companionship, and the simple joys of daily life. This aquarium, with its silver fish and green plants, is my daily reminder of that truth. I have spent countless hours observing this tank, and each time I do, I notice something new. Sometimes it's the way the fish position themselves when the filter's current grows stronger, angling their bodies just so to reduce resistance. Sometimes it's the tiny bubbles of oxygen rising from the leaves of the hygrophila when photosynthesis is at its peak in the afternoon. Sometimes it's the way the light reflects off the gravel at the bottom, creating little patterns that dance across the glass walls. These details may seem insignificant to others, but to me, they are wonders, proof that even the smallest of worlds holds infinite beauty if one only takes the time to look closely. When I think back to the very beginning of this aquarium, I remember the excitement and nervousness that came with setting it up. A small tank might seem simple to many, but to me, every detail mattered. I measured the space where I wanted it to sit, making sure the surface was level and sturdy. I rinsed the glass carefully, wiped it down until it sparkled, and then laid the first foundation of the aquascape, the substrate. I chose a fine, dark gravel that would both anchor the plants and highlight the silver and red of the rummy-nosed tetras. Pouring it in was like laying the soil of a new world, a base upon which everything else would stand. I sloped it gently toward the back so that the plants there could appear taller, creating a sense of depth even within such a confined space. After the substrate came the placement of the plants. I still remember the moment I unwrapped the bunches of hygrophila. They were bright and fresh, their stems already showing roots. With tweezers in hand, I carefully pressed each stem into the gravel, arranging them close together so that, as they grew, they would form a dense thicket. It was a patient process, but one that filled me with anticipation. I imagined how they would sway in the current, how they would provide shelter for the fish, how they would oxygenate the water and filter out impurities. Each plant I placed felt like planting a tree in a miniature forest, an act of creation that connected me to the earth even within the confines of glass and water. Then came the moment of filling the tank with water. I placed a plate on the gravel and slowly poured the water over it, so as not to disturb the carefully planted stems. As the water level rose, the plants began to float and sway, as though waking from a long sleep. I adjusted them gently, making sure they remained rooted. When the tank was finally full, I turned on the filter, and the hum of its motor became the heartbeat of this new ecosystem. Bubbles began to rise, the water started to move, and I stood back.